USC and Wisconsin. Wisconsin is going out west to see USC. Number 13 USC is 2-1, 0-1 in the Big Ten, and looks to bounce back from a 27-24 loss to Michigan as they host Wisconsin, who is also 2-1, in their second Big Ten matchup. USC's offensive line struggled against Michigan, allowing 4 sacks and managing just 96 rushing yards, raising concerns ahead of the Wisconsin game. Wisconsin, coming off a bye week, will start backup quarterback Braden Locke after losing starter Tyler Van Dyke to a season-ending ACL injury in their 42-10 loss to Alabama. The USC tight end Lake McCree will also be out with a lower body injury. Lincoln Riley estimated he won't be back for another 3 to 4 weeks. USC will face Wisconsin team playing in Los Angeles for the first time since 1966, and the Badgers defense previously dominated the Trojans in a 2015 Holiday Bowl win. I'm not going to take too much from the Holiday Bowl, but I did think we had to mention the last matchup there. So, Nick, what's some of your thoughts going into this game?
Well, I grew up a Texas fan. So Lincoln Riley, since he was previously at Oklahoma, not a huge fan, but I do think he has done a really good job with USC, especially with bringing over Caleb Williams from Oklahoma to USC. And then I still think they look a lot better than I thought they would this season. But I think Woody Marks has been doing really good in the run game. And then I think Miller Moss has been doing good passing the ball. And they looked really good against LSU. And another team that was doing all right against LSU was UCLA, at least for the first half. So I do think Indiana should get some more credit for beating UCLA that badly. But I think USC, they look really good. I haven't watched much of Wisconsin this season, but what I've seen from the Alabama game, Alabama's a good opponent, but it's very tough for them.
They were overmatched. They were overmatched. It's going to be an interesting game. I think that there are some weaknesses for USC that are some weaknesses for Wisconsin as well, but I think Wisconsin has the players to overcome those weaknesses, and I think USC has the coaching to overcome those weaknesses. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens in this one. Going to the keys of the game, for me, USC, their main key to the game is to keep Miller Moss safe. Keep Miller Moss off the turf. Keep him safe. Give him time back there to deal and to throw the ball. The O-line, they were too slow and they were too weak against Michigan. But I have to be honest, something I noticed during the game is it wasn't all the offensive line's fault. I did feel like Miller Moss needed to do better at shifting the protection, because there were times when Michigan would bring 5 guys, and you always have 5 guys blocking on the offensive line, and there would be one guy that was just running free. And so obviously there was not communication either from Miller Moss or the center trying to figure out, hey, you have that guy, you have that guy, you have that guy. You saw guys double teaming and pass protection, which is not the worst thing in the world if you have 4 guys coming on the blitz, or 4 guys coming. But when you're blitzing that 5th guy to come, you have to be able to get, one guy on each guy, and they weren't doing that at times. And so you saw on a 5-man pressure, just one guy coming free to Miller Moss, and that makes it really, really hard when the other team has 6 guys in the back end and 5 guys pressuring you with one guy just completely free. So the Wisconsin D-line, I think they are worse than Michigan. Obviously, they've been struggling this season, but even a bad D-line can get pressure if the offensive line is not working together, if they're not shifting, and the quarterback is not calling out what they need to do. So that's going to be a really interesting thing for me to watch in this game. Is Miller Moss shifting his offensive line, getting the right protections? Nick, what's your key for USC?
I think, they need to protect Miller Moss because they love to air the ball out. I looked it up. They've aired the ball like around 129 times in their 3 games and have only rushed like 72 times. But they love to air it out. They love the pass. So I just think if they can protect Miller Moss and keep him making successful passes, then they'll succeed.
I totally agree. That's going to be one of the main keys. For Wisconsin, what's your key for Wisconsin there, Nick?
The stop Miller Moss, to make sure to pressure him. Find some pressure find some weaknesses on the offensive line and be able to pressure them, because Michigan was able to do it last week. So if they can succeed in doing that, then Wisconsin has an actual fair chance of playing well against them.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, Wisconsin, like I said, they don't have the defensive line of Michigan, obviously, but when you look at how Michigan was able to get some pressure, even when the defensive line was getting blocked, there definitely is the opportunity for that. For me, for Wisconsin, it's for them. They need to win the time of possession and run the ball, right? I mean, the running backs have not been great this season. They need to step up in this game, but to me, early and often, you need to give the ball to Ches Malusi. Have him wear down this defensive line of USC. And if USC doesn't have Bear Alexander playing, that's one less player they have on the defensive line for depth. Wear down this defensive line as fast as you can. And I actually felt like the O-line did a pretty good job against Alabama. Now, it's Alabama. They dominated, but I think at the end of the day, if you look at their past two games and what happened there, felt like they played better, which is pretty crazy considering the talent difference between Western Michigan and South Dakota versus Alabama. And so for me, you have to use this run game in order to open up the play action for Locke as well in a struggling wide receiver room. The strength of this USC team is their secondary. So if Wisconsin wants any success throwing the ball, they are going to have to be successful on the ground, have the line of, or have the time of possession. And in the second half, I think that's when you go to Cade Yasamel. I think they call him Yak, and have him carry the ball because he's the more explosive runner between him and Ches Malusi. Listen to the stat, Nick. This is crazy. Ches Malusi has 26 more carries than Yak on the season, 26 more carries. But Yak has 2 more runs of 10 yards or more. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So to me, like, you have to be giving the ball to Yak late in the game after Ches Malusi has wore this USC defense down. You have to give it to Yak and figure that out. The USC linebackers, they were good against Michigan, but there were times when they were just outside their gaps. And so USC's strength to me is that secondary. You have to go away and minimize the secondary, and you have to figure out a way to help Braden Locke throw the ball. Because if you just have Braden Locke step back and throw, I don't think it's going to work out very well for you. So... Nick, what's your must-watch reason for this game?
I think Wisconsin keeps it close, so potential bounce-back game from Wisconsin. I think that's my must-watch because Wisconsin has the chance to upset USC. So if they can do that, then yeah.
Yeah, they definitely have the chance. And for me, it kind of goes along with that a little bit. It's, USC, they kind of had that introduction to running the football against them, right? They had the team that runs the ball the best, or, one of the best in the Big Ten, and they struggled to stop it. And so for me, it's kind of like USC redemption game. The key to the game is for Wisconsin to run the ball. Can USC stop Wisconsin from running the ball? Can they give themselves that reputation of like, yeah, Wisconsin only had like 3 yards per carry against us. Maybe Michigan did a good job, but, they have to set that tone for if you are a Big Ten team, don't just think you're going to go up against USC and run the ball all over USC, because it ain't going to happen, because we have Dan Lynn now. We're stronger. We're better in the run game. We're better at tackling, which, I kind of dogged USC for their tackling, but, I mean, their tackling wasn't all that bad throughout the game. It was really just in the fourth quarter where they struggled the most in tackling. So as long as they can tackle throughout the entire game, they should be better, but we'll see. We'll see. All right, let's do a few comments really fast, Nick, and then we'll get to score predictions. Doug says, I like JR and Mike after the games on the Voice of College Football. I appreciate that, Doug. Yeah, me and Mike give a lot of effort there, so we appreciate you. And Barb says, thumbs up. Appreciate that, Barb. Thanks for being here. And Sean says, he's with me. He says, Wisconsin needs to run the ball and get pressure on Moss. Could not agree more, Sean. That's one of their keys. And here we go, Doug, one more time. If it was whiskey of old, they would run all over USC. I agree, Doug. That's kind of the crazy thing. If it was Wisconsin of old, they would do that. But under Luke Fickell, it's been changed a little bit. So we're gonna see if they can do that in this one. So, all right, Nick, should I give my score prediction first?
Sure, if you want to.
All right, I made you go first with Indiana, so I'll go first this time. All right, so I feel like I can't just pick the favorite in every single game. So I'm going to make it a little interesting. I'm actually going to pick Wisconsin in this one. I'm going to pick Wisconsin to win 20-17, and I'm kind of going out on a limb here a little bit that Wisconsin will fix their running game and their running backs will show out. I think you have a great opportunity here with Ches Malusi and Yak. I think, like, in my mind, if Luke Fickell plays this the right way, Wisconsin should win this game. But if Luke Fickle tries to get too cute, if Phil Longo tries to pass the ball and doesn't use the running game to set it up, I think Wisconsin or USC is going to really take care of them. But if they play this game the right way, if they're smart, they win the time of possession, doing that kind of stuff, I think Wisconsin should win this game. But USC is also at home. USC is also hungry after that loss to Michigan, so I don't really feel great either way this year. But I'm gonna go with Luke Fickle. Bet on him. I did that at the beginning of the season. It's not worked out so well for me, but I'm going to do it one more time, and maybe I'll learn my lesson after this. Nick, what's your pick?
I think it's going to be a close game. I'm thinking USC 24, Wisconsin 21. I think Wisconsin will get something going in the run game and will be able to run over USC just like Michigan did. But I do think USC is going to clutch it in the end and end up winning the game.
All right. We'll see which one of us is right, Nick. But I do agree. I think it's going to be lower scoring than some people think. I think this USC team, they're really going to have to be able to score the ball when they have opportunities, because I think Wisconsin's going to try to keep it out of that offense's hands. So interesting pick there.